Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Alan, and I am a kidney dialysis patient doing home hemodialysis. So today in this video, we're going to show you how I set up at home for home hemodialysis by turning on the machine, doing the cartridge setup, doing the saline setup. Batch of dialysate was made last night, so we're going to make sure we test it before we can use it, and you're going to see that whole process. So stick with me. I already got my gloves on. All right, and we are just going to set up in the room for dialysis. So stay tuned, and we'll get started. So first things first, you gotta turn on the machine. So to turn on the machine, you lift up the handle and open up. There's a switch in the back. And turn it on. Now I live by one of these. If you are a home hemodialysis patient, you should have a table like this, okay? This helps you set up and make things easier for you. I know it did for me a whole lot. So, one of the things I do, I make sure I put on my mask. Some people feel comfortable not using a mask or using a mask. For me, germs and everything, I just use a mask. Right? So this is a cartridge for the machine. Alright? So first things first, we're going to open up the cartridge. And we're going to take it out of the bag. I tend to place it on top of the bag because the bag we're going to use, the bag becomes our trash bag. So attached to the cartridge, you would see a few things. You would see the dialyzer and a series of tubes, all right, with tabs. We're going to remove those tabs and get started. So we start by removing the tabs one by one. That are holding the lines in place. Anytime you see this plastic here, it means that you might need to check the line to make sure it's tightened, because sometimes, I've had it before, where it's kind of loose and you might have fluid flowing everywhere, and you don't want that, especially in your priming process. All right. You want to make sure you remove this little piece right here. It comes right here. This is a recirculator. That attaches to your arterial and venous lines before you begin the dialysis process. So this is the recirculator. We're just going to place that on top of the machine right there. All right. We're going to remove one more tab. Alright, we'll just tab right here. How do we know the cartridge is in the right direction? There is a smiley face right here on the cartridge, a little smiley face that you see right there. See the little smiley face? That's how you know it's facing up. So once the smiley face is pointing towards you, face up, you know that the cartridge is in the right direction. So I tend to hold all these lines in place, and the lines just automatically fit into place. Okay? Once you put it into the machine, the lines automatically fit right into place. Okay? It attaches to these sensors that are inside of the machine. And then I push up, push in, and you will hear a snap. That's how you know that it's been placed correctly inside of the machine. I also attach the access pressure pod to the machine. Just screw that in right there. Alright? And then I do it a lot. I want to make sure that these lines are not tangled up. Alright? So I want to make sure my waistline is separated. My venous line is separated. My dialysate line. And my arterial line. Alright? So I tend to detangle. And this is the little spike that we're going to spike with the saline bag. So I had my saline bag prepared a little earlier, ready to go. So I'm going to spike the saline bag. Alright? So we just break off the bottom portion of the saline bag. Take off the spike of the saline and gently and firmly push in and push up all the way, just some turns until it's all the way in and you can see the end of the saline spike inside of the bag. And I just push. The only button that's really lit is the faucet button with the bucket. And it will say 23 minutes. It takes 23 minutes for the machine to fully prime. In the meantime, I'm going to check my machine's chloramines, which is the dialysate. Make sure that the dialysate is good to go and it's a batch that we can use. So you always have to test when you make a batch. Once it's finished, it'll say check chloramines. So you do a chloramines check. Okay. So to check your chloramines, there are these test strips that are ordered when you get your home hemodialysis supplies. Alright. And there is a key. Alright. So now we're going to test our chloramines. So we make sure that the expiry date is good. That it's not expired, that the test strip is not expired. Alright, so that's good. And we get a nice little cup that we're going to use to capture the dialysate. So we're going to come to my machine. It's going to say remove orange line. So there's an orange line here that we are going to unscrew. and remove, and then with the cup, place the end of the orange line inside of the cup and press green to go. So it will now say dispensing. Right. This usually takes a while for it to dispense the chloramines. Or I should say dispense the dialysate so I can check the chloramines. You know what I mean. Some good elevator music would do right about now. So it's now dispensing the dialysate to check the chloramines. Okay. It's finished dispensing. And it'll say reconnect line. So then you will reconnect the orange line. And while that's being done, let us see. So I tell you, this table is good for everything. And it goes up and down too. Take our test strip. And we dip it into the dialysate test water that we collected. And we just swirl it around a bit for about 1 minute. And that's about a minute. All right, and then we kind of turn the test strip onto itself. All right. Then we, using the key, we check to see if it's 0.0 parts per million to 0.02. Anything other than that would mean that the batch is not good. So it won't be a good batch to use. And then we'll have to use express bags. But this batch is 0.0, which means it's a good batch to use. Then we will press green on our pure flow. It'll say pass or fail. So if it's good, we know it's good. We press green again to go. If you fail the batch, that means you can't use the batch. You have to discard that batch. Alright? So it'll tell you that's a 50-liter batch. Press go again. The batch expires in about 82 hours. So I have 82 hours to use this particular batch. And it'll say configuring the batch for use. So start to configure the batch along the green line for use. Alright. While that's configuring, I press the green again. Batch is in use. But I'm not ready to use the batch. I just typically press pause, stop, pause the batch in use till I'm ready to go. And then we'll do some cleanup. While the machine is still priming as well, it's time to do setup for dialysis. So remember, you see these handles? These are where I put my supplies. These side panels, put my supplies and everything I need for cannulation. First, I get a blue chuck. Then I get my heparin. Ten milliliter syringes. Two 10 milliliters needle syringes. Clamp. Tourniquet. Alcohol prep pads. Micropore tape. Blood pressure monitor. Thermometer. Gauze. Not much, just a little bit of gauze. Very useful if you have an accident and you want to do a little bit of cleanup. You're going to need another blue chuck. Nice little blue pad. Great, then I move my chair up a bit. And then I open the other arm. I get another blue chuck. Place the blue chuck on this arm of the chair, on this rest, and I normally typically place the blood pressure monitor on this side, along with the clamp thermometer. And in a previous video, remember I said I make an off pack. That's my Band-Aids and super stoppers. So I have them right here at the back of my supplies. I'm just going to get them, and then we are going to get also on there right there, we're going to get the saline syringes that I use as part of the cannulation process. All right? Stay tuned. So we have the super stoppers, part of the off pack. And our Band-Aids. And these are the saline syringes that we use as part of cannulation. Just gonna put some in the front so I can have it reach it for when I do it the next time. Makes it easier. These are 2 syringes I normally include in things I need for cannulation. Remember I said we use this as a garbage bag, so the garbage bag I normally attach right at the back of the side panel using some tape. now we're going to set up our tape for taping the access. Once I input the needles, there's one thing, I need to get the needle, and I showed you that in the last video. That's part of my setup, which is a 15 gauge needle. 15 gauge needle comes with two, red for arterial, blue for venous. So 2 needles into my fistula access. So we're going to set up the tape. So we just need to get some tape. I usually put this along my standing table. I make some long, some short. And I give them a little tab, so I bend one end of the tape so that it comes off easier when I'm finished dialysis. I usually do like 10. And the last one right here. And then we are good to go. All right. We have 3 minutes to go still. So we've been doing this for 23 minutes almost. We tested the batch. We set up the supplies we needed for dialysis. You know, the needle for cannulation. We had our heparin. So now we're gonna just wait till the machine finishes priming, and then we'll do the line connections. And it's pretty simple. White to white, green to green, red to red, blue to blue, yellow to yellow. So it's pretty easy to set up once you get the hang of it. Almost forgot one other thing we needed. My stethoscope. Usually hang this right here. And you have to make dialysis comfortable for you. So this chair was not comfortable for me, so I got a few cushions, just some dollar store cushions. I got a blanket in case I get extremely cold, but I'm never usually cold. More so my seat's more uncomfortable for me. Like I have to have the right posture. 2 minutes to go. Let's just move this out the way. I just love how everything just slides where I need it to go, when I need it to go, when I need it to go. You always have to make sure, one important thing, that you have an extra bag of saline close by in case you need to do emergency rinse back, or your blood pressure gets too low, you need some fluids, and there's not enough in the bag. You want to make sure you have some close by. So you will hear a series of beeps when the machine finishes priming. It'll have a series of 8s. You just press the yellow mute button. Then it'll start giving you a countdown, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, all the way down from 9 through 1. You press mute again. Then you'll see a series of 3 zeros with flashing red. Alright, and that's how you know the machine just finished priming. The pump in the machine will start to get going. And this is where we do the snap and tap. So we snap and tap the lines. Starting with the arterial red line. About a fist apart, you do snap and tap. Gets the air out of the lines. Snap, tapping the access pressure pod as well. Alright. Then we go over to the dialyzer. Take it out of its holding case. There'll also be some tabs here to remove. And then you give it, you want to get the air out of the dialyzer. You want to give it some taps as well. The top and bottom of the dialyzer. You want to tap. Make sure you get the air out. You place the dialyzer into the holder. Then we go over to our blue line, and we snap and tap our blue line all the way to the bag. You do this twice. You go back to the red line. Back to the dialyzer. Alright. We're also going to make sure we prime the top portion of the dialyzer. We just give the cap a little twist. And then we clamp it. We're also going to prime this heparin line that's on the dialyzer. Clamp that line as well. Come back to the blue line. Snap and tap that. Okay. Now once you finish the snap and tap, you want to make sure, alright, that you stop the pump. Now, we're going to need to set up our connections. So I always start with the T-line, the white saline T-line. I use my saline hook and I put the T-line right on the saline bag line hook. Then you'll notice, as part of the connection from the cartridge, you'll have a green line connected to another white line. So this is where green and white connections meet right here when you first get your cartridge and you take it up from the bag and you put it into the machine. Now it's time to connect white to white and green to green. So you're going to make sure you clamp the green and clamp this white saline line. Then we're going to take out the white saline line . I just like to make sure that all my lines are not tangled. And then I make this connection to the white line of my saline T. So now I have white to white, and I make sure both clamps are clamped. Alright. Now you have the green line. Okay? Remember we had stopped it earlier? I usually press green to go again. Press green to go in so back is in use. So now I want to prime this line. So I usually just open one end. Just give it a nice little turn, don't too much because it's a lot. Okay, and you prime the line. Alright, and we clamp it once we finish priming the line. And just take one, and we never clamp these dark green clamps. These are no return clamps. Once you clamp one of these no return clamps, you can't use that line again because it doesn't unclamp. So you always want to clamp from the lower light green clamp on the line. So we're going to use one of these and make a connection to our green line here. Once the connection is made, we open up the clamps, and we're good to go. I usually like to say this little thing that came off of the green line for my clamping, or just closing off my waistline. So the next line that we're going to go to is our waistline, which is the yellow. So we clamp our waistline, clamp both clamps at both ends of the waistline. We take it out of the saline bag, and then we take our waistline and connect it to the yellow line that's on our pure flow. And we just unclamp that. Unclamp that, and we unclamp the yellow clamp, and we just made the waistline to waistline connection. The next connection that we make is with our blue and red arterial and venous lines. That's where these syringes come into play. So I normally just break open the syringes, so I have them ready to go. And we're going to start with our red arterial line. So we clamp the red line, both clamps. Take one of your syringes, and we're just going to unscrew, and then we're going to place the syringe on the end of the line that we just took. And at the big end of the line, of the arterial line, we're going to put onto the recirculator. So the recirculator is on one end of the line, and at one end of the line we have a syringe. So I like to fill this syringe, the arterial syringe, all the way down to 10 milliliters. And you're going to see why in another video. We use that to flush at the end of dialysis. Cool. Okay, so we're going to take our other 10 milliliter syringe, and we're going to do the same thing on the blue line. So we're going to come to the blue line now. We're going to clamp each end of the blue line. Put the syringe onto the saline bag. Take the other end of our recirculator and there you have it. So now we are ready with our lines for dialysis. Now we need to put in our prescription into the machine. Alright, at the top we have the dialysate flow rate. My dialysate flow rate is 16.7. So I just enter that into the machine. Okay. What is the flow rate we want to, what is the weight we want to do our filtration rate? Alright? The rate at which you want fluid to come off of the body. So my fluid filtration rate is usually 0.65. 0.65, so we're going to go all the way to 0.65. And then we have the blood flow rate. Usually start out with a blood flow rate of 200 milliliters, and then we increase as we make sure that we have the proper pressures for arterial and venous pressure. Then we're going to toggle to the next screen with the little beaker. Then we have the dialysate. So my prescription calls for 50 liters of dialysate. So we're going to enter that into the machine. Okay, the next, when you go to the yellow, from that toggle screen would be how much fluid you want to pull off. So I usually start out with 0.5 liters and would increase or decrease depending on if I'm above dry weight or if I'm below dry weight, just based on what is my weight as I take the weight before I get onto that, before I start dialysis. So let's leave it at 0.5 based on current weight, just before I go and see what my current weight is. Okay, so there's the setup for dialysis. So all the lines are connected. In another video, I'll show you cannulation, you know, how I cannulate, and you know, walk you through the process as I connect to the machine and that whole process. So again, this piece right here, remember I told you to use this piece, I typically use it right here on the end of the waistline.